Today I want to talk about why people don't understand abuse. There's so much information that's out there. How come we didn't see it? How come we didn't know it? How come we couldn't avoid it? And once we got in it, how come we didn't recognize it? The information I know that I got, and the information a lot of times that I see mainstream being passed along, lacks a lot of information, key information. So the way I like to explain it is that the relationship is a toxic relationship. So whether it is from mental illness, addiction, whatever it might be, it is toxic. And when we think of toxic things, chemicals, for example, they're oftentimes odorless and tasteless. So we wouldn't necessarily recognize it. Let's take a gas leak. There's a gas leak in the home, and unless you have a detector that can let you know that, you would die. You would fall asleep. You might have some symptoms before, feeling a little nauseous, a little dizzy, but you would not be able to put a finger on the fact that it's a gas leak. So they've added a smell to gas so we can recognize it and go, there is something here that's going to make me sick, and I recognize that smell is gas. Well, abuse is the same way. It's described often as similarly as explaining to someone, stay away from a gas leak. The warning signs, if you smell gas, if you get out quick, and those basic things are wonderful. But if you don't have that detection in there to let you know that that is gas because they didn't add the scent in there, you would never know that's what you were in because you're basing it on information that makes it clear, cut, and dry. You smell the smell of gas, you know what it smells like, you need to get out right away while you're still coherent before you get involved, stay there too long, and then become to a point you can't even get out because you are too sick to even crawl out. You can't call for help because it's been too late. That's similar to the information we get. We're shown someone who is abusive when they're in the abusive stage, when they're showing clear-cut signs that they're abusive, and they're being obvious about it. And it's being pointed out to us, kind of like that gas smell that tells you you're in danger. But a lot of toxic relationships do not go that clear-cut way. There are some clear signs that are a part of it, but there's a lot of cues that are missed, not explained, and so people get into it and can't get out. That is also why professionals, whether it be counselors, psychiatrists, whether it be judges, lawyers, they don't get it. I'll tell you, they may know it in a book, and that would be in the counseling world. They may know it in a book, and I've talked to people. I know people who are in the field got sucked in. How did they, being those who studied it, those who helped others in it, not see it themselves? So it's not as easy as they make it look in any of the information that they put out there. So please forgive yourself for not seeing it, because if professionals can't see it, they can't spot it, it's not that easy. And part of the reason it's not that easy, unless and until you've been in it, you can't completely understand it. So when other people are not understanding you, it's not their fault completely, because they don't understand what they don't understand. So I want to do a series of why we don't understand it and how to inform people differently so that we can detect what it is that is infiltrating us, what that toxin is, and how to avoid those toxic relationships like toxic chemicals, that once we get to a point where it is affecting us emotionally, psychologically, getting out of that dangerous situation is not that easy. Also, We want people to have more compassion for people who have been through it. But the way it's presented, mainstream, is it makes it seem like, well, now you know, just get out. That's like saying to someone who's passed out on the couch or ready to pass out, well, now you know it's gas. Why don't you just get out now? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen that way. Once you are in it and you have been destroyed slowly by it, it's not that easy. The body's given up. It can't handle the further abuse that the toxins are having on the body if you have a gas leak and you don't recognize it. That is precisely why they put in the smell, to let us know in enough time when we're clear-headed, when we're not affected by it on bodily function-wise. We're still in a clear state of mind where we can be coherent and make a good judgment call and get out, so that others can recognize the smell of it and go, yeah, you're right, there is a gas leak. Warning, this place is going to blow up possibly, or other people are going to die. We need to know. But if we don't know and we don't understand it, other than the simple warning signs of you'll be in a honeymoon phase and they'll be all nice, and then one day they'll start calling you names and they'll get jealous and they may hit you, and now you know you're in a toxic relationship. Oh, there's so much more to it. So much more to it than that. I could write books for days, weeks. I could read books. Also, other people's stories. It is much more complex than that. And that's why when people are not understanding and they're like, I don't get it. They don't get it because they don't understand the depth of it. If we understood the depths of what we were going through and why, we wouldn't have stayed either. No person in their sane mind would stay. But it's not that simple. Just like the toxic smell that we're smelling, we got in and there was no smell. There was no warning. And so the warning signs that did come up were not warning signs that we knew of intellectually. Like, take it from me, I had been in other relationships that were that clear cut. I'm not saying they're not all. With the jealous possessive or the person who's an alcoholic, I've been through all of that. And even when I was in it, I could recognize that this is not healthy and this is what's going on. I could see it. A lot of abusers, you cannot see it. So comparing apples to apples, I can tell you from my experience, there are those you can see and there are those that you can't. And so I want to spend time educating people on what to see and understand why this has happened. And as you come from situations who have been abusive to you, your view of what is non-toxic, if you get used to that smell of that gas smell, you don't necessarily understand or see that there's a problem or an issue because your nose got used to it. You don't smell it anymore. And so your view of what abuse looks like is far more extreme. Because if you were used to love and a relationship at your core was unhealthy, then to see an unhealthy one has to be a lot more extreme. So someone who has lived in a house that's never had any gas smell in it ever, when they smell it, they're like, whoa, this is wrong. This is not right. But if you have let's say a propane gas log in the house and once in a while you smell the smell, you're like, yeah, I usually smell something. So you might not be aware as much when there is a full-fledged leak versus when there's a little bit of odor from just starting up the gas log. So all in all, I want to leave everyone with an understanding to research more, to learn more. It's not clear-cut. It's not even written in textbooks or the way it's presented to specialists are not working. If it was working, we wouldn't have this epidemic. We wouldn't have people who are being silenced. We wouldn't have the situation we do have with so many people I know, after you come out and you start recognizing you've been abused, how many thousands and thousands of people in support groups and everywhere that aren't getting the memo, that aren't getting the message. And the reason they're not getting the message is because the message is not the best. I'm not saying it's not good that information's out there. It's wonderful, but it's not enough. We need to, now that I've been searching YouTube and finding out more information, it opened my eyes to a whole world that I wasn't aware of. I had researched codependency. I went to Al-Anon meetings. I even sat in on AA meetings, and I didn't have a problem to support some other people who did. So, I understood so much, but there was still so much to understand. So it's about getting clear with ourselves, understanding ourselves, what went wrong and why. We can't fix what we don't understand. And if professionals are not understanding us, then we need to find those who do understand them, us. And so I have found some great coaches. I have found great information online, that we can't stay stagnant and wait for others to catch up to our need for information. And so the information is out there. It's just not mainstream. But I am happy to be sharing this information. For me, it's about creating awareness, creating insight so that we can create healing. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to sharing more information to help prevent further angst and pain and to help the healing process become as easy as it possibly can be in a very difficult and heart-wrenching situation. Thank you again for joining.